plastic, they just carve lines to give you the shapes of the bones in here. So it's really distinct. But with the real bone, since everything's tiny, they have to use glue to hold it all together, and it's really obscured by glue. In fact, I think you did have one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when you look at this real one here versus that, and even with some student who drew the lines in, it's still a little bit harder to see. So this is one of the rare cases where plastic is better. Now let's go over some basic features before we get to the hard stuff. So with both the hind foot and the forefoot, we have basic divisions. We have the ankle, which is called the tarsus. We have the body of the foot, which is called metatarsus. And we have the digits, which are called phalange. All right, so you can tell the hind foot from the forefoot by a nice big long ankle here. That really stands out, doesn't it? And the hind feet are bigger, at least in cats. When we look at our metacarpals, here's the kitty cat's big toe. It's a lot smaller than the other toes, but we always count from big toe to pinky toe. From the first little piggy to the fifth little piggy. Or if you're from places like Osteen, maybe sixth little piggy. But the reason why we count this way is the first digit you're aware of is your thumb, so we always start with that as number one, thumb side. So first, second, third, fourth, fifth, metatarsal. Okay? Our first, second, third, fourth, fifth digit. The thing here that gets a little confusing for some students is when we look at the digits, each bone is called a phalanx. Phalanx is a military term. You think about military parades, you'll see like a unit of army marching, and then a gap, and then a unit of tanks marching, and then a gap, and then a unit of mechanized artillery brigade. Anytime you got a little gap and they're in a rectangular formation, that's a phalanx. So that's what these are supposed to look like, little military units marching. The plural of phalanx isn't phalanxes. That's English, but this is Latin. The plural of phalanx is phalange. So our three phalanx bones make up one phalange. The phalanx bone closest to the rest of the body is, you know this, proximal. The one with the claw on it, so kitty can latch into your heart, is distal. And the one in between, intermediate, or middle if you prefer. We can love the middle digit even if parents don't love their middle child. I'm teasing. Well, one of you is bitter. One of you's like, yeah, damn it. No one's a middle child, are they? Yeah, I figured. Okay, so anyways. Let's look at the same thing here. Our wrist is called carpus. The body of the hand, or forepaw, metacarpus. And each of our little bones of the digit, phalanx, plural of phalanx, phalange. But of course, this is where we get into a little bit of a problem. Because although singular phalanx, plural phalange, we've got more than one digit. So we plural of plural. It's like saying phalanx, phalange, phalanges. It's like saying person, people, peoples. Okay? So it's a minor grammatical thing, but that causes students trouble because they're just thinking always in English. Those of you who speak another language also may have an advantage there because you're used to not just throwing S's on things. All right, so let's look at the hard stuff now, the ankle and wrist. The ankle's a little easier than the wrist because it's bigger bones, easier to see, like the thing I'm holding on to right here. That's your heel. If you reach the back of your foot, that heel thing you're feeling there, your heel, is your calcaneus. That's why the tendon that your gastrocnemius muscle attaches to your foot by is called calcaneal tendon, also known as Achilles tendon. All right, so there's your nice big calcaneus. It's huge. We got a dome-shaped bone right here on top. It looks like a little Volkswagen Bug. That's your talus. The tibia articulates with the talus. When you raise and lower your foot on a gas pedal, TT, tibia talus. Now, in mammology tomorrow, we're going to talk about this again. Because the way that our foot works, tibia talus is a unique feature of mammals and gives us better movement of our feet than other vertebrates have, especially fish. Okay, only one of you got that, that's sad. Our next bone here, now again, we're on the big toe side, is a bone that looks like a dragon head longship, one of those Viking longships. Here's the body of the ship, and there's the dragon head prow. I know it sounds fanciful, but that's why I got the name it did, navicular, for boat. So we have this Viking longship shaped bone called the navicular. And it has 3 little bones attached to it called cuneiform. Now cuneiform writing was the writing of the ancient Babylonians. They wrote on little clay tablets shaped like these. They traveled by sea conducting business with other countries. So our little boat is carrying our cuneiform tablets. Under the first toe, or first little piggy, for those who haven't grown up, first cuneiform, second little piggy, second cuneiform, third digit, third cuneiform. But think about your big toe right now. Your big toe is along the midline of your body. So another set of terms we can use under the big toe, even though it's kind of Napoleon complex big toe, medial cuneiform, under the third toe, lateral cuneiform, and between them under the second toe is middle or intermediate cuneiform. Make sense? And again, that's where you've got flexibility on your answers. Our last bone here doesn't support one toe, it supports the 4th and 5th. It's like a cuneiform on steroids, so we call it cuboid. All right, now this isn't bad. Yeah, it looks a little bad right now, but compared to the wrist, it's a green. So let's take a look at the wrist. A lot of times with these, especially with cat bones, when you're having a hard time seeing things, use your own bodies. You're not cats, you're not worthy of being cats, according to your cat, but you have a lot of features in common with a cat. So if I put my right hand next to this right paw, thumb, index, middle, ring, pinky, you can even see dorsal versus palmar surface. And that kind of helps you to identify these bones as you go, reflecting them on your own hand. So under our thumb, we have a little bone right there. The little bone under your thumb is called trapezium. It rhymes. The trapezium sits under your thumb. How many people had human anatomy? I know Cody did. Anyone else? It's okay, Cody. There's a big bone here, and it's a big bone because in humans it's 2 bones. In kitty cat, those 2 bones fuse together. The part that's under the trapezium is where all the tendons that attach to your wrists come off of. So it's called scaphoid. It's the scaffolding for those tendons. And next to it's one that looks, and you can barely see it here because of the fusion, but looks like a crescent moon. So in humans it's called lunate. They love using moon names and things. Whenever they can throw a lunate in there, they do. So scaphoid plus lunate makes the kitty cat bone scapholunate. So we have our scapholunate supporting the trapezium. Under the index finger is our trapezoid. Under our middle finger is capitate. Now capitate, like capital, means head. It's under your middle finger. When you flip someone off, you've lost your head. So capitate, middle finger. The next one's going to be a little hard to match up with your own body. Under the ring and pinky fingers, there's this bone here, which in us is called hamate. If you feel in your palm right over here, you'll feel a projection. That's your hamate bone. In humans, because we have all these big muscles in our palms, it's a hook that helps to guide a tendon. All right? Kitty cat doesn't have that. Kitty cat doesn't have that hook, but everything was named on people first, and that same bone in the same location is called a hamate in the kitty cat. And hammer refers to hook. When you think of a hammer, you think of something you pound nails with, but really the hammer is called a hammer because the claw that you pull the nail out if you made a mistake. If it doesn't have that claw, we don't call it a hammer, except in Marvel Comics. Instead, we call it a mallet, right? In fact, hams are called hams because they're cured by hanging them on meat hooks in a smokehouse. So that's where hammer comes from. Anyways, so I'm doing all this about the hook, even though it doesn't show the hook, but it's under your ring and pinky finger. When you get a ring on this finger, you're hooked. Then we got a little bone here that's got a lot of different names to it. It can be called triquetral, triquetrum, or the one you'll probably choose, triangular. But the key thing, no matter what name you give it, tri is part of it, for 2 reasons. 1, in humans it looks like a triangle. And 2, it's in touch with 1, 2, 3 of its neighbors. So triangular. Maybe one of you will choose triquetrum to be ornery, but most of you will pick triangular. And then this bone here, actually in kitty cat, this bone is bigger than it is in you. Not just proportionally, but in sheer size. And it kind of looks like the leaning tower of Pisa. This is a pisiform. So let's go over this again, and then I'll give you a mnemonic.